I've stayed away from talking about gear for a little while. Let me first preface that I love this little Nikon. I think it's opening up amazing creative doors on a budget and bringing us a higher tier of cinema quality, right? So what you create first and foremost with whatever camera it is that you like, whatever camera it is that you can afford, like to use, whatever it is the most important thing at the end of the day. I love this little thing so far. It's amazing, but there's a lot of things that are a little weird that could use some improvement. So let's get into that. Number one, when you play back a clip and you're shooting in R3D, you kind of get this lower quality playback, almost as if it's playing back proxies, I think. The video quality is a little bit mushy, and it just doesn't look as good as what you saw once you were recording R3D. Not the end of the world. I'm going to guess that this is a processing power issue, you know, cramming all of this into the little body, but just something to know and be ahead of. Slow motion footage is not conformed in camera, right? I come from a background shooting with RED cameras for at least the past 8 years, and one thing that is always amazing about them is the slow motion. So when you have a client on set and they want to see the shot playback and it's in that buttery slow motion, there's just something so exciting about that. Everybody's like, wow, look at that, versus, oh wait, just hold on until you see it later. Nobody wants that. There's really no easy way to toggle on and off the log, right? And that's the weird part that I want to talk about. So when you are in a color-baked codec, let's say H.265, ProRes RAW, and I believe N-Log, I've checked all of these, you can't really use a LUT, right? You only can use View Assist, which is kind of like this built-in Nikon View Assist, which seems just a little odd to me. However, when you switch over to the R3D, only then do your preloaded LUTs actually work. And then when you have them in there, there's no way to like map one of the hotkeys so that I can just toggle on and off that LUT. I have saved it to my quick menus, but then I have to press the menu button, press the second menu button, scroll, find that, and then press off to be able to see the log image if I just want to go back and forth. So that's a little bit cumbersome. So it seems like R3D is just kind of the king tier on this camera, right? Another weird one is the dual native ISO setting seems to, for whatever reason, only work in the R3D codec, meaning that when you click on the ISO button right there, you will see the base ISO give you options for low and then high, which would be your 800 and your 6400. Now, I'm not sure, and I haven't done enough testing to see, but when you are in N-Log profiles, whether it be ProRes or H.265 or NRAW, you don't get this option on the ISO. So I'm wondering if it's still technically 6400 as the second ISO, and it just doesn't give you the option to switch the base, or if it's not. So that's a little bit unclear and a little bit weird in the design there. Ibis is very good, but sometimes you kind of see it jitter and try and keep up. I'm not going to lie, this is definitely one of the best, most organic, natural Ibis systems that I have seen. It's not going to be super duper smooth like one of the Lumix cameras or anything, but it almost just feels very natural, right? I think with just a little bit of tweaking, it can be just that much better to where we don't see those like little try and catch ups. In my testing, using the normal mode, not the sport mode, is probably what I would recommend personally. And then if you're on a gimbal, turn it off entirely. And if you're on a tripod, turn it off. So this way you just have zero issues. And then they call it vibration reduction for those of you trying to find it in the menu. Let's make the menus look better inside the camera. Personally, I think this is a thing that every camera brand can do better, not just Nikon. The menus aren't atrocious. They're not amazing. What I do like is that the touchscreen is amazing. It is probably one of the best I have ever used. So going through the menus is easier in that context. There are a lot of menus kind of like Sony and Canon, but what I do like is the list icons are bigger, right? And call me old, but I do think that that makes it a little bit less overwhelming than cameras like Sony. And if you know me, I absolutely hate Sony menus with all my heart, but it does make it that much easier to go through. But on that note, the menus need updating. They need to be a little bit more intuitive. And on top of that too, this is a thing that I think every manufacturer can do a bit better, right? Don't just go with the standard. You're a camera company, right? What you do and the industry you're in is entirely reliant upon presentation. So why don't we want to present things nicely? Meaning it shouldn't just be organized in a way that's easier to navigate. Let's make them a little sexy, right? The graphics look like they're kind of 1995 Nintendo looking, you know, and all menus in most cameras kind of look that way, unless you're in like a Blackmagic system. You know, all the menu items are very big, they're easy to navigate, they got color, they got little shading and here and there, and they just look a little bit amped up. It's like, let's go from, you know, this Sega Genesis just boring, bland blase-ness, and let's just give it a little bit of update, you know, gradients and different hues and colors and bigger things that are easier to navigate. Just my 2 cents there. Alright, so these next ones are definitely going to be some of the more popular ones that you've heard from other people, I'm sure, but I'm just going to reiterate them because I feel exactly the same. So, we need false color, or stoplights, something. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal looking at the screen, but there are definitely a few shots that I butchered a little bit on the exposure, just looking at it and be like, yeah, this totally looks fine, and then I got into post, I'm like, wow, this is a noisy mess. So exposure tools would be so much more helpful, especially on the fly, just to be able to boom, you know, false color, let's go, I know my faces are perfectly exposed. Yeah, you got waveform and stuff like that, but it's, I don't know, I'm a false color guy. The stoplights make it easy, so that way we're not just destroying the shadows and we're not murdering the highlights. So something to think about there. Anamorphic support. Let's get anamorphic support inside this. This is a camera made in collaboration with RED, right? Big cinema company and everything. It literally has the RED badge on it. From what I understand, this is the same sensor as the Lumix S1 II, so I don't see it without possibility that we can add, you know, anamorphic D-squeeze, hopefully in a couple different formats to make it easier for everybody there who has different lenses, 1.33, 1.5, 2x stretch, and so on and so forth. On that note as well, I think we really could benefit from open gate. For me, it's not the end of the world. I mean, the majority of my camera career, I have not had the access to open gate on cameras. But again, if we could do it, it would be great. It is always amazing to have extra things inside the cameras. And if the Lumix S1 II can do it, and supposedly the same sensor, hopefully whatever processing chip or whatever stuff is going on in this camera can handle it. Timecode over USB-C would be amazing. I could be wrong, but I don't believe this is a thing right now. I think it just literally goes over the 3.5 mic jack. Anybody who might know any better, drop a comment down below. Feel free to correct me and rip into me if you know any better. Film simulations, right? Let's be honest. Fujifilm kind of dominates the market when it comes to this. I think the next in line is Lumix with their integration of that Lumix Flow app, and it's kind of like a live LUT and you're shooting log in there, but it seems simple enough. It's different, but it seems simple enough. People love the idea of walking around and taking photos that look absolutely amazing right out of the box without having to edit, you know, whether you're content creators or even professionals. I know plenty of people, you know, when I go on vacation traveling places, I bring my little Fuji camera everywhere, and it's so much fun to take photos, mobile transfer them to my phone, and not have to sit there for an hour editing them because, you know, I need to have the right look and all of this. It just looks amazing out of the box. It's great that you have creative flexibility, and it's great that you shoot raw, and obviously that has its time and place on professional sets and professional photo shoots, but sometimes people just want to shoot around and have fun. So on that note, there is something similar to film simulations inside this camera and other Nikon cameras, but it is implemented absolutely awfully, right? You have to go and download this whole program, and you can make some of your own, or you have to go to the Nikon website, scroll through, and it's not like you could just look and see like examples of what it is that you're looking for, right? Like a bunch of images and say, ooh, that looks really nice, I want that. You have to scroll through photos of the creators who created these presets, which is nice because we're paying respect to these people, but it makes it harder to sift through all of that and then find the one that you want, because you have to click on the creator, you don't know what their stuff looks like, and then you're scrolling through and then there's literally one reference image, and a lot of them are not the greatest of reference images. They're literally like a leaf or like something stupid like that. So that makes it, you know, just a lot more cumbersome to try and find a film simulation or preset, whatever it is that they call it. And on top of it too, there's just not that many on there. And lastly, you have to go to this website, you have to pair the camera with it, and the whole process is extremely cumbersome. It is not easy at all. I think if you are able to make this in a way where, okay, keep your website or let's have an app or something, would be amazing. But even if you were able to just download those presets, put them in a memory card, pop them in the camera and import them, that would be a lot easier than the weird strategy. Believe me, if you look up how to do this, that it is that you have implemented to do this, because it's just so convoluted to me personally. So this is a feature that I think it's there, but you're not capitalizing it enough, Nikon. You are not, you know, utilizing it to the max, because this could be a big selling feature for you. A lot of people could walk around with this little pocketable camera, one of your little primes, the 28, the 40 mil, which I own and love, and walk around and shoot street photos. But right now it's cumbersome, it's hard to use, there's not a lot of options. Fix it, please. Let's get a better, you know, shutter sound going on. Like the one right now is pretty awful. You know, when we talked about that Sega Genesis Nintendo looking graphics from 1995, the one right now kind of sounds like paper ripping like really quick. It's like a ch, and it's not great. You know, it's a little gripe, but it's not great if we're going to be nitpicky here. Media consumption on this camera is absolutely insane unless you're shooting H.265. But I knew this ahead of time. I am, you know, well aware of it. I come from a background as a RED owner. I have shot with RED cameras for years, so it is not a problem to me. However, at least in the codecs like ProRes, it would be amazing if we could actually get, you know, ProRes LT, just a normal ProRes 422, ProRes Proxy, even just other, you know, iterations of that, so that way we could save media when we don't want to shoot R3D, and hopefully down the line we can also get different compression ratios of R3D, so we can save a little bit of money on hard drives. All right, here's a really weird one. The log settings in this camera are not intuitive to use at all. I just did a shoot recently, and man, it could have been a total nightmare, and I could have botched all the footage. Luckily, I only shot a couple clips that I had to then reshoot when I finally noticed. So when you go into the camera menus and everything, it shows you the different codecs. It shows you, you know, your H.265, ProRes, Nikon, RAW, RED RAW, whatever, right? And they all say SDR on them. And when you click on them, that's all it will show, right? But you have to hit this little arrow, and then at the bottom it says tone mapping, and then you have to change that to log. So I was shooting ProRes 422 thinking I was shooting log, because I was like, where the hell are the log settings? I don't see that anywhere. But the whole entire time, long and behold, I was shooting color baked Rec 709 footage the entire time, and if I had continued the rest of the day like this, the client and the person editing this would be very mad with me. So that's something that I think needs to be implemented a lot more intuitively. Hopefully, if you just got this camera and you're hearing this, you don't make this mistake yourself, so be aware of that. All right, this next one is huge, and it is not just a little bit of a gripe. I don't think I'm the only one who's going to say this, but this is a helpful tool. We need a better control app, right? This is a tiny little camera, and what that means is it unlocks amazing possibilities for creativity. You know, you can put this camera on the hood of a car with ease, you could rig it overhead, you can put it in all these cool places, and sometimes some of those cool places are far to reach and it's hard, and we don't want to have to mount a Teradek and all this extra stuff on board. So if we could have a wireless app where we can control the camera that's reliable, that's not actually god awfully atrocious like the Nikon app that currently exists, and with very limited settings on there, that would be amazing. I know that costs a lot of R&D. I know that that's not something that's just easy to do, but you've got to step it up. Nikon is right now the wolf approaching the hill, and they are very hungry, and hopefully they show us how hungry they are when they continue to do these firmwares and continue to listen to people like me and upgrade things. This one is a wish list, not the end of the world, but I could see it. They did put a hot shoe on this camera, which tells me that it has electronic functionality. Obviously right now there's that wireless mic that Nikon makes, but what would be awesome is a little hot shoe EVF. So if you want to take photos with this camera, or if you want to walk around and use it as a pocketable cine camera with a little EVF and you just look right down into the hole, that would be cool. That would be something that I think a lot of people would buy down the line. Another one, it's really easy when you're shooting. It's kind of a big button and it's glowing, and then also it's just right there. It's pretty easy when you're shooting to accidentally turn off the camera. I actually did this twice, just gripping it and accidentally pressing the button. So if they implemented something in the firmware with when you are shooting and you are recording a clip that it would be impossible to shut off the camera, that would be amazing. Just because it's right there, it's easy to shut off. It's not like other cameras where it's more of a switch or something like that, or a press and a hold. It is amazing that you just tap it and then boom, it goes on. I love that. But this is just a little weird loophole that I did find when I was shooting. Luckily, it doesn't corrupt the footage if you're wondering that at all. It just shuts off the camera and stops recording where you were. but it would be nice if they implemented that. Or if you did want to turn off the camera because God forbid there was something wrong with the camera, it was overheating or whatever in the middle of you recording, maybe you just have to press and hold rather than being able to just tap, so that way we avoid cutting recording by accident. Just a thought. Okay, so to wrap this video up, the last thing that I have found on this camera from owning it during a week that I found a little bit odd too is I like to have a rule of thirds grid up. I like to have good composition at all times if I possibly can. And when you flip the screen towards you to view yourself, it wipes the rule of thirds grid, and I don't even have an option to put it back on because I've mapped them to my top, 3 buttons for custom functions. And it's nice because I can see myself clearly, but I can't make the screen clear. It was a nice sentiment and a nice thought, so this way when you're filming yourself you can more easily see yourself. But if I want to manually override it and tell it what I want it to do, that should be up to me, and that should be my option. Maybe there is an option inside the menus that I'm missing, so if you know, drop a comment down below and feel free to correct me so I know better. So my name is Sean. I'm a director based out of Los Angeles, California. This has been another little video on the Nikon ZR. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know your feedback down below in the comments, and if you feel so compelled to, please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.